I'm at Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, where more firefighters and the largest air tankers available are flying in today.
Now, this fire's been keeping firefighters busy all day long. They're battling the blaze right now, trying to keep it from spreading. But if I could take a shot from our eye in the sky, Air 15 right now, to give you an even better perspective, you can see just how big this is.
My goodness, they're going to have lots of damage, a big mess to clean up, and a lot of money spent to get this back to normal.
But we may have some new information here. I've just been approached by Captain Martin Herrera of the Glendale Fire Department. Captain, good morning to you.
The debate begins in about 2 hours here, and I want to give you a lay of the land to show you how things are going to proceed. Keep in mind, this is the second to last debate before many of you make your decision. We are live just steps away from the U.S. Capitol, the site of tomorrow's inauguration, the final preparations being made right now.
This is Milne Bay on Papua New Guinea, and it's about as close to a tropical paradise as you can get. Warm Pacific waters, some of the purest in the world, kiss pristine beaches. Thick jungle drapes over the mountains like a green curtain. And the people here, for the most part, are very happy.
We live off the land, and that's the thing that I have come to learn to appreciate.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Locals call it a slice of paradise. But during World War II, this was the scene of a brutal battle.
The big picture.
The Battle of Milne Bay pitted Allies against the Japanese over control of an airport.
There was no room to maneuver.
American troops slogging through the thick, unforgiving jungle. It was hot, humid, mosquito-ridden, closer to hell than to paradise. Just ask Marcus Guys, born and raised here, a student of the island's history.
It was one of the hardest places to fight. Milne Bay was very, very difficult because of the weather conditions, the mud and the rain, which still happens today, the mud and the rain. It said it was just too much for these. These were just young kids coming up to fight.
The Allies would win this battle, but they turned unspoiled wilderness into a junkyard. Junk you can still see today, rusted remains hinting at what happened. Recently, Marcus's cousin Willie was walking through his family's land when he spotted something beneath a fallen palm tree.
I was just walking past this place and then I spotted it sticking out, so I decided to come pick it up. I knew what it was, but I didn't know who was the rightful owner.
Willie found this, the dog tag of an American soldier from Fort Wayne, Private Irvin Otting. Naturally, Willie and Marcus wanted to know more.
You know, when you think back to the war, these people were very young.
The soldiers were young, just kids at the time. Most of them, though, are now long gone. But to learn more about the tag and the soldier who once wore it, Willie and Marcus called their cousin James in Australia, a World War II enthusiast with a restored American Jeep and a collection of Japanese weapons. If anybody could trace the dog tag, James could.
I said I would do my best to help out. So I straight away went onto Google and I typed in the surname.
And that's when James learned about Private Otting's time during Milne Bay. But maybe you'd better hear that story from Irvin himself.
The swamp is so thick that you had to hack your way through it. You could have an enemy soldier within 2 feet of you, and sometimes you wouldn't even know it.
At 94 years old, Irvin is still going strong, living in this house he built himself, farming these fields. Back on Papua New Guinea, the news was spreading fast.
Everybody here was, really found it interesting that the guy was still alive when I was telling them.
Irvin's war stories read like a screenplay, but for him it was serious business. He was nearly killed when an errant mortar landed too close to his machine gun nest.
I was hit with a shrapnel from an 81 millimeter mortar, our own. That's what burnt me up. It had to be our own stupidity that ruined my life.
Irvin was knocked out cold by the explosion, which also tore off his helmet and blew out a piece of his skull.
I didn't even hear the mortar go off. All I felt was the blood running down over my body.
He would be unconscious for weeks in a Philippine hospital. This is a sketch of him there. But soon after this, he awoke. and noticed something very important was missing.
When I woke up, that's the first thing I said. Where's my dog tags? Don't know. I give up the idea of ever finding them.
But fate wouldn't allow that to happen. Overwhelmed by the chance discovery and Irvin's near death on their family's land 75 years earlier, the cousins from down under knew they had to return the favor.
This person put his life on the line. I thought the least I could do is to take them back to him personally and hand them to him would be the right and proper thing to do.
And that's just what he did, arriving in Fort Wayne carrying a special cargo for express delivery. The Otting family already waiting.
I'm James, and I've travelled a long way to bring you something very special. I'd like to present you with your dog tag, which you left, that you lost all those years ago.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yes, I can imagine.
Bringing the dog tag was easy.
Thank you for
finding the words.
Putting your life for putting your life on the line for us, mate.
Not so much.
You know, without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today, mate.
For these to get lost was a real surprise. 'Cause a good soldier never takes them off the back. Yeah. And I'll never lose it again.
I'm sure you won't.
Everything is okay for you people over there now?
We have our freedom.
Yeah.
We have our freedom. Yeah. People like you putting your life on the line for us. So there's the least I could do.
Well, you can imagine the feeling when they said somebody found your dog tags. In other words, they found part of you. I couldn't believe it. Well, it finally come true. And we thank God for that.
The pressure, you can feel it. Imagine you're just 17 years old, still in high school, and you're facing the biggest performance of your life, guiding a 1,000-pound horse in lockstep with dozens of others in front of the president, dignitaries, and a global TV audience. Military precision.
Hi, pretty. I know we're disrupting dinner.
Brianna Spear is one of 24 young women on Culver Academy's elite horse team, the Equestriennes.
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure behind it.
She's from Fort Wayne, riding in the inaugural parade on her horse, Tobiana. Oh yeah, you can bet the horses feel the nerves too.
She wasn't very friendly at first, but we eventually bonded after I fed her plenty of treats.
Drilling like this since October, every move scrutinized. The Equestriennes and the boys, the Black Horse Troop.
Yeah, we have about 4 practices a week preparing for inaugural, and it definitely can be a lot.
Maintaining control of your horse, keeping your bearing, and of course, the all-important uniform. Small details really add up. And now the invitation from Mike Pence. The team prepares to deploy.
We've seen pictures of years past of them going. We have them hung up all around campus of just all the troops that have gone before.
So how do you move 80 horses and all their riders, a small army, from the Midwest to the nation's capital?
6 18-wheelers to get the horses there, and we're going to be taking 80 head of horses. It'll take another box 18-wheeler to get our hay and bedding, our gator, and then the equipment to care for the horses.
Luckily, experience is on their side. Troops from Culver Academies have marched in inauguration since 1913, and this year, marks the 104th anniversary of that first ride.
In 1913, Thomas Marshall, who was then the governor of Indiana, became the vice president of the United States, and that was our first inaugural. Now we're coming full circle for Vice President Pence.
The Black Horse Troop, still as they were all those years ago, except this time, Kevin Tai, the first Chinese squadron leader in the school's history, commanding his troops. And for the equestrians who began riding more recently, in the 1970s, well, the excitement is only tempered by academy culture and a certain kind of poise.
I think it means to be carrying on a tradition and to be a part of something more, and when generations in the future will look back, it's kind of cool that all have been a part of it.
I mean, it is something that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our kids, and when you see their faces when they've gone down Pennsylvania Avenue and they've persevered, often in horrible cold weather, they're just ecstatic. It's amazing.
I'm willing to bet this doesn't look much like spring break to you. Here in Nicaragua, the streets, well, they're a little rough. Horses are a common mode of transport, and life doesn't move too fast at all.
It is part of our family culture to be here.
But for Angie Parker, her husband Chris, and their family, this is the getaway.
See, I grew up and going to church. One of my favorite things to listen to was our missionaries from Africa.
Yeah, there's no beach nearby.
I would hear other people go, "Oh, missionaries from Africa are here."
Just lots of work.
And I'm going, yes.
The kids filling holes on a soccer field, carrying heavy buckets of dirt taken from this big pit. They're cooking meals and mentoring children who could sure use it.
So I think coming to Nicaragua is a different pace than just going and sitting on a chair at the beach. For me, I find a way to re-energize and to recreate myself, I guess, to start over. And so to be able to interact with these kids, I think is what gives me that extra energy.
He's not just talking about his kids, but these kids, more than 24 of them. They live in this orphanage in the mountain town of Jinotega. Now we have to be careful filming them. Some of these children are at risk for kidnapping, and we'll blur the faces of some. Most of them victims of abuse, whose families aren't told where the state is caring for their children. But we were given full access, along with the Parker family from Northeast Indiana, who do their mission work here every year.
We all have an opportunity to be able to pursue our dreams. And so for somebody, it might be, going to 5 Colts games in a year. For somebody else, it might be having a Corvette or something. I don't know. For me, it's coming to Nicaragua and to be able to not just enjoy that experience for myself, but to be able to share that with others.
Now, for the Parker family, this spring break, working in the orphanage, helping the children, was perhaps more important, maybe more emotional than normal. That's because for one member of their family, this place is already very familiar.
When I scooped you up and I said, "You are mine.
Forever.
Forever.
And ever."
In this room, 3 years ago, the Parkers adopted a little girl, Sarah. She spoke no English, but she desperately wanted a mom and a dad.
And I was very shy at first, but then my mom scooped me up.
And so we've joked that May 29, that was the best anniversary present I've given you yet.
So this year, on this mission trip, the Parkers return with Sarah, walking down this dusty road to the orphanage where it all began, revisiting those now distant memories.
What did you think about us when you saw us? Did you say, "Boy, she's got some long hair, but not anymore"?
I thought Dad was really strong. No. Dad, that was
tall and handsome.
Maybe not handsome. Just kidding.
For the Parkers, this year's mission trip had another mission included, to show Sarah, who's growing up fast, where her story began and how she fits into a much bigger world.
For my kids, I want my kids to know that the world is bigger than what they experience in Indiana. There's different colors of skin, there's different customs, but at the same time, it's hard work that gets a man through a day. It's never-ending love that gets a mom in a position where she keeps the family whole. Those things transcend language and culture.